Are we ready?
We're live. We're not ready. We are on live to the nation. Everyone, you've got yellow papers today. Look, on brand. I'm impressed.
Yeah, so on brand.
Good morning, Debbie.
Good morning, Bertie. So we're talking about time and how to manage your time this morning, aren't we?
Yes, we are indeed. So yes, if you're watching live, it would be great if you ask us questions in the chat box. In fact, look at this. We can remind you to do that at certain points. But if you're watching on the replay, then you can always comment and we'll get back to you or put the comments in ready for next week. So yes, today we're talking about time in 10 at 10. 10 minutes of Q&A every Friday. But we realised last week we didn't ask anybody any questions. So today we want lots of questions. So as you're watching, ask us questions. So what are your problems that you have managing your time? Do you find you procrastinate? Do you actually just go out there and get shit done? Like what actually is happening? Tell us in the comments and we will respond. So Debbie, over to you.
So I think we decided to talk about this because I was speaking to a lot of my clients, and time's something that they're struggling with quite a lot at the moment because maybe their home life isn't quite what it was because we've got kids at home, or you're trying to fit it in around various things, trying to fit your business around stuff. And lots of people were saying to me they were feeling like a busy fool. This idea of, I feel like I'm doing a lot of stuff, but am I working on the right stuff? Like, is there any progress? Are things moving forward? So that's why I was like, let's talk about time management. And I think there's so many things that we could talk about with this. But one of the things I think, one of the first bits of this, if you're like, I don't have enough time, I'm not managing to fit everything in, is unfortunately, you, Bertie, or I can't make more time. So that's we're just going to put that out there. You can't make any more time. So what you've got to do is make sure that you use the time that you've got as effectively as possible. One of the first things that I suggest to people to do is do a time audit. Because how can you make more time, or how can you use your time more effectively if you're not actually aware of what you're doing with your time?
Agreed.
So almost have like a pad and a pen of paper beside you for the next couple of days and just mark down, like went on email, popped onto social media, did a bit of work on this, saw a client, created a product, have a phone call, and have a look at what you're doing in your day. And then just look at that and go, does that look like a productive time management tool? And I think one of the things that we tend to do is we feel like we've got to be on and available all the time. So maybe we feel like as soon as an email comes in, we need to respond to it. Even if we're stuck in the middle of doing like a really difficult project, then we're like, but an email's just come in. I've got to answer that email. And what that does, every time we do that, it means that we're taking our eye off the thing that we're doing, we're disengaging from it, we're going over there to answer an email, and then we come back. And the science says it takes you 20 minutes to get back into that place of flow that you were with your project. So I think one of the things with time is to use a tool called time blocking. So block out time in your day for certain tasks. So maybe check your email first thing in the morning for half an hour, maybe at lunchtime, and maybe at the end of the day. And, if you're somebody that picks up your phone and looks at it constantly, just put it in another room. Just put it on the landing or something, and make sure that if your kids are probably downstairs and not at school. But, if you're waiting for an emergency phone call, that's okay. So I think that's the first thing, is kind of being protective and really digging into what are you doing and creating those time blocks so you can actually focus on the task at hand and kind of just be there in that moment and get that task done.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do want to hear your comments as well. If you've got any, in fact, I'm not even looking at the comment section. Have we got comments? Let's have a look. But I think you've raised some really good points there, Debbie. I think the time audit is super important. What I will add with that is when you're doing it, actually be really truthful and honest with yourself. Like, no one's going to judge you, but it's true. Like, we can actually look back and say, well, actually, no, looking at my diary, I was really busy. I can do that. And I can think I was really busy yesterday. But a couple of days ago, this little bastard literally dominated my entire day because it's pinging. I'm looking at it, I'm getting distracted, and then I'm on social media, and it just sucks that time away. So, on paper, technically I was busy, but I wasn't because of this. And I know a lot of people do struggle with phones and distractions and things like that. So putting in those little hacks almost to actually get you into those better habits, leave the phone in another room, is a good thing. I think time management is very similar to dieting, and I compare a lot of things with dieting because, like with dieting, there's different things that work for different people. So some people might find that time blocking works really well. Others might find like that Pomodoro method where you do the 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off. But ultimately, it always comes down to actually figuring out what the problem is. And until you know that problem, and that's why I said, be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Once you know the problem, then you can start putting in tactics that will try and fix that problem. But if you're just if you're lying to yourself that actually you're really busy and are being a busy fool because you're just in your email a day because you think that's the right thing to do, but all you're doing is taking emails and moving them into little folders, it's like, no, that's not busy. That is just literally just wasting your time. So these are really important things, I feel, when you talk about time management. Be honest, and then actually try and figure out some things that are going to help. So if you do have any questions, whack them in the chat. No one's put any questions in. Thoroughly.
I think the other thing with it is like this idea of focus. Like, what's your focus or what's your intention for the day? Like, what's the thing that you want to achieve? And almost like mapping out your day of all the things that you've got to do so that you give enough time. And I think sometimes we think, oh, I'm just going to do that and it'll only take 20 minutes. And it doesn't. It always takes an hour and a half. And I think also in that idea of being truthful, sometimes we lie to ourselves about how long it takes to do tasks. Yeah. You know, if I'm writing a blog post and then I'm editing it and then I'm putting it on my website and then I'm putting it in an email and then posting it on social media, that probably takes like an hour and a half, an hour and 15 minutes. So if I only block out half an hour for that, that's not being realistic about how long it takes to do that task. The other thing that I think is making sure that we have breaks, because we're one of the least productive countries in the entire of the European Union, you know, which we're still kind of European, even though we're not in Europe. And German people can stop working at, I think, 3 p.m. on a Thursday and have 3 till 6 off and the entire of Friday, and they'll have been as productive as us. So I think just sitting there and thinking, I'm working, doesn't even mean that we're productive. And so it sort of begs the question of, how can we be more productive in that time? Because actually, imagine if we could do our business and be finished by 3 p.m. on Thursday and have a day off a week, have a 3-day weekend. Like, for most entrepreneurs that I speak to, that's the dream, isn't it? Being able to manage your time and being able to have a bit of time off. So I think if we can have that focus when we sit down to our laptops in the day, that helps. And also giving ourselves time off. Like, a lot of my clients say, oh my God, you do like I run the Blue Stockings thing, and then I run a social enterprise, and then I lecture at the university, and then I am a business coach, and I'm running 4 online courses this month, which is kind of insane. How do you do it all? And I said, well, actually, one of my favorite things is if I'm feeling overwhelmed, I just go off and watch Selling Sunset or some shit telly like Housewives of Beverly Hills. And they're always like totally shocked. And I think, but we can just sit there opening and closing tabs, and we'll spend 2 hours feeling like we need to sit in front of our computer. And actually, if we took 40 minutes out and just rested our brain, we can come back and be super productive. So I also think just having those moments of rest and go and watch some crap telly if your brain's overloaded, you'll be a lot more productive when you come back to your computer.
Yep. So we have a question, Laura, thank you, who said she always underestimates how long things take. Yes, I do as well. Like, I send out a daily email now. I was like, oh, it'll be half an hour a day. That's it. The first one took me 3 hours to write, edit, send. And then I don't think one has taken less than an hour so far to do. But yeah, it's very easy to underestimate it, and that's the problem. So the question is, what do you both do to get focused? Do you want me to start?
Yeah, go for it, Bertie.
I think the most important thing is actually understanding, like, are you working on the right stuff at the right time is one of the most important things. So I heard a speech once by Ben Davis Hunt, and it was he wrote the book, Will It Make the Boat Go Faster? And essentially it was the story of the Olympic team who had failed in I can't remember the years, but I think it was like the 2002 Olympics when they got gold, but they'd failed in the previous 2. But essentially after the 2 failed Olympic things, their new coach then gave them this question, and the question was, will it make the boat go faster? So every single thing that they did from that point on was around their purpose. Actually, is what you're doing going to make a difference to get you to your goal. And I think when you come down to like scrolling on social media, email and things like that, it's very easy to start doing things that probably aren't, maybe things that you should be doing that you actually don't need to do. And when you work in your business, when you're working, especially if you've come from like a corporate background, you've got those corporate habits of having your email open all the time in case your boss wants something. You don't need to do that. You set your own rules. Yeah. So the whole point about that is actually, if you understand what it is you're going for, you can then audit the things that you're doing and actually say, I am going to work on this stuff because it is going to forward my business. It is going to make a difference. And the best example in that book that they gave was the Olympic ceremony. When it came up to there, like, you know, it's like one of the most coveted ceremonies that everyone wants to get to. They asked themselves the question, will it make the boat go faster? The question was no, and they didn't attend the ceremony. They then went on to win the Olympics. So all those small things, question yourself each time, can really, really make a difference. I hope that answers your question for me. Doodah.
I mean, that's just an amazing answer, isn't it? Because it is about understanding what's going to make your business grow or what will make the boat go faster, and really questioning yourself. Like, if I open my emails 50 times a day, is that going to make my business grow? Probably not, you know, but it will make us feel like busy fools. So having that focus, and I love 90-day goals. So thinking, what can I do in the next 90 days that's going to grow my business? Am I going to increase my email list? Am I going to make sure I'm more visible on social media? Am I going to do more networking? Am I going to edit and make my website better? Or am I going to improve my SEO? Coming up with that task and that focus that you know is going to move you on a little bit, and then focusing on that for the next 90 days. I find that really helpful to kind of make me be really clear on what I'm doing to grow my business. The other thing is, you know, just to get focused, every morning I have a cup of tea and write in a morning pages in a diary. You know, what I have a splurge of all the things that I'm thinking about. Then I look at my diary and go, what have I got in this day? Map that out, and then what are the additional things that I need to do, and I put that in between the, you know, the client work that I do. It's like, I have to do that, that's the bread and butter, and what are the other tasks that I've got to do that get me towards that 90-day goal, and just making sure that you're not just opening and closing tabs. One of the best things is, every time you finish with a tab, close it. You know, don't have 20 tabs open on your computer. Just have the one or two that you're working on, and get rid of all the stuff, because all that distraction just takes you away from yourself. I know that we've gone over time. I feel like we could talk about this a bit more next week. What do you think?
Should we do it again? Should we make these 20 minutes now? But anyway, yeah, we'll split it. Let's do it. Yeah, we'll do another 10 minutes. We'll continue with the time. So if you're watching this on the replay and you've got any questions, put them in the comments, and we will be answering those next week in part 2 of
how to manage your time.
Of your time.
So Laura's just popped in at the last minute, said, love it. Be really intentional. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, be intentional with what you want to do with your time. Okay, so we're going to see you next week at 10 a.m. for 10 to 15 minutes. Yeah. I'm going to carry on this conversation about time, because it's super important that we use our time wisely. It's the only thing that we've got, isn't it? Steph, intention, not reaction. Yes. All right. See you next week.
Lovely. Bye. See you later. Bye.